Evening, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome to the next module, today's presentation on the not to-do list. And if you're listening into this live, or it's part of your 12-week course, or even the 6-month mastery, I think this is going to be a great addition to some of the skills you already know. We're talking about the not to-do list and how to own the day, increase productivity, and GSD. If you're not sure what GSD means, that's exactly what it means. GSD is get shit done. I'm a big believer in getting shit done. So let's look at some ways how we can optimize productivity and maximize the day. So really the not to-do list is the things that we want to avoid. If you look at typically a normal to-do list, they're the things that we want to do, but almost sometimes more powerful to be focusing on things that you don't want to do. And if you've got a list that you can work from, you can avoid and actually make your day way more productive. So we're looking at the things like time wasters, distractions, and things that make you procrastinators. And a lot of this, unfortunately, is social media. I think social media is brilliant. My whole business is based off social media, so I can't complain. But the fact you've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, all these different things that are constantly pulling at us. And that's just one thing. There's loads of other just things that are time waste. And usually especially with our smartphone, it's notifications come through, pop up, texts. We're just being deluged with all this stuff that can take away. So I'm going to go through some things that you maybe want to avoid, and first of all, look at some of the things that I have on my not to do list, and then you can maybe come up with your own. But as I mentioned before, the not to do list is almost more effective than to do lists for upgrading performance. And the reason's simple. What you don't do determines what you can do. Okay, so if we can avoid all the things in the first place, we're going to be way more productive at the things that are going to move the needle forward. So that's what we're going to look at now. Okay, now the perfect day is one of the modules in the 12 weeks. Now you may have come to that. If you're listening to this, you may have been through the perfect day. You may have filled that exercise in. If you're in the first 3 or 4 weeks, this will be one of your modules coming up soon. In the perfect day module, without spoiling it or going over it too much in advance, is almost having a blueprint of how you would want your perfect day to look. And I don't mean a perfect day laying on a Caribbean beach, which is that picture I took off the internet. We're talking about a normal day. Maybe you could do a weekend day and also a work day. So what would that perfect day look like in terms of how, what time would you get up? What would you focus on? What would you work on? Who would you see? What would you do? And you'll get that in one of your modules, the perfect day. But what we're looking at is the other things outside of the perfect day and the not to-do list. So this is some of the things on this list I do, and some of the things on this list I want to do, but I don't do yet. So I'm not going to stand here and say that I'm the finished article and I'm doing everything on this list. I'll hold my hands up. I'll tell you exactly what I do. But these are some of the things that are on my list. The first one, don't drink Monday to Thursday and on Sunday. So this would be typically what I would do, and just have a couple of drinks on a Friday and Saturday. At the time of this recording, it's late January 2021. I'm actually in the middle or coming to the end of dry January. And that's only because I drank so much in 2020 in the middle of lockdown. So I'm not going to say that my not to do list was to not drink, although I'm actually not going to have a drink until I really fancy a drink. And at the moment, I think I've broken the habit. I've not missed it. But typically, on a normal working week, I would avoid alcohol Monday to Thursday, have a couple Friday, couple Saturday, and then not have any Sunday night, go into the Monday the next week fresh. Okay, number 2, don't go on my phone in the first 2 hours of the day. This is a work in progress. I'll be honest, some days I do this, some days I don't. It gets the better of me. I get up at 5 a.m. Every day. It's just been a habit I've got into about 6 or 7 years ago, the 5 a.m. club, for various reasons. And I know that the first thing that many people do, especially if they're woken up by their iPhone, is roll over, get out of bed, check it, scroll Instagram, Facebook, all, check your emails, all these different things. So I'd be a liar if I said that I do this every day of the week. I'd say I manage this 3 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week. Fortunately, I don't actually use my iPhone as an alarm. I've actually got a Fitbit with a silent alarm, and it just literally vibrates on my wrist, wakes me up. So I leave my phone in my office charging overnight. Some days, for some reason, I go to it and look straight at it. Maybe it's just something in my head, email I know that's coming, or something from someone that I'm expecting, or a thought. But I try as often as I can to leave that phone on charge until my day starts, when everyone else gets up in the house, which is 7 o'clock, the first 2 hours. And number 3, big one for me and non-negotiable, don't miss a workout. It's very important for physical and my mental health is to get my workouts in. And I won't say, right, I'm going to do something 7 days a week, although a lot of the times I do. I'll say get 3 or 4 workouts in. Anything more than that's a bonus, but I won't miss a workout. I'll miss other things, but I won't miss a workout, because that's just one of the priorities that I take very, very seriously. Don't drink coffee after 2 p.m. It's probably a good idea for most people. Of course, if you like coffee, if you not a fan of coffee, don't start drinking it, just to stop drinking it before 2 p.m. But 1 or 2 coffees, usually 2, preferably 3, but usually 2. Make sure I have the last one after 2 p.m. The reason being, caffeine has a half-life of about 6 to 8 hours, which means that, for example, if you had a strong cup of coffee and it maybe had 200 milligram of caffeine, 100 milligram, the half the amount of caffeine, would still be present in your blood system up to 6 to 8 hours later. So if you're a bad sleeper or sensitive to falling asleep and that's causing problems, you could have caffeine in your system come 8, 10 p.m., which could be a bad thing. As it happens, it doesn't seem to affect me that much, but I still make sure I have my last coffee before 2 p.m. just to make sure. Number 5, don't gossip or badmouth anyone. I think that's great advice for anyone, really. And don't go on my phone, laptop 1 hour before bed. Again, this is a work in progress. This is on my not to do list. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it just doesn't. And the reason being, the light emitted from your phone, from your laptop, even your TV to a certain extent, is blue light, artificial blue light. And this blue light interferes with our production of melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that is released by the brain from the pineal gland, right center of the brain. When it starts to get dark, it makes us sleepy. So it's our sleep hormone that gets released naturally. The problem is when you have this artificial light from screens, from laptops, phones, it interferes with the production. So again, if this is something that is a problem for a lot of people, sleep is an issue, it's wise to come off. And you know what? If you're going to bed at 11 o'clock, you don't need to be working between 10 and 11. If you're going to bed at 10, you can probably down tools at 9 o'clock. And towards the end of the presentation, we'll talk about some of the things that you might want to do in that last hour. Okay. Don't answer calls from unrecognized phone numbers. I never do. It's a good one to stick to. Someone will leave a message, and if you haven't got their number, it's probably not someone you want to talk to. They can leave a message. If it's important enough, they'll leave a message, catch up. The point I'm making is you don't want to be just taking phone calls because then you're on someone else's schedule. And this is an emergency, of course. But if you don't recognize the number, it's someone that wants you. So you let them leave a message or they'll get back to you when you can. Okay. Big one. Don't use your email first thing in the morning or last thing at night. And I mentioned points 2 and 6. I'll just go back a screen. Don't go on my phone in the first 2 hours of the day, and don't go on the phone before bed. But you don't need to be on your email. The problem with going on your email first thing, and I guess if you're not on your phone or your laptop first thing, it's not an issue. But if you are, it can start you off in a very stressful manner. Whenever you get bad news, let's say that there's an email from your boss or a client or someone saying something's gone wrong, if you're working with people around the world, 7 a.m. for you, could be 11 p.m., even 10 p.m. somewhere in the world, West Coast of America. Get an email that could be stressful. You don't need to be dealing with shit at 7 in the morning. It can wait a couple of hours. It really can. It's only going to release cortisol, which is our stress hormone, which is at certain times not a bad thing. It's actually cortisol that actually wakes us up in the morning. We need that. But too much cortisol is just going to cause us to be stressed. You don't need to have that cortisol and adrenaline pumping through your veins at 7 in the morning. There's plenty of time for the shit to hit the fan at 9 or 10 o'clock. On from that, don't check your email constantly. Batch and check it at set times only. Work in progress again for me. This is very, very hard. And the problem with responding to email or checking email, when something comes in, you then want to respond to it there and then. So again, you're allowing your time to be taken up by someone else's schedule. It doesn't matter. Look, before email, 20 years ago, maybe a bit earlier, late 90s, wasn't it, when computers and emails kicked off? We didn't have email, so you didn't have nothing to check. You waited for the post, and you didn't literally wait on your hands and knees at the letterbox, waiting for this letter to come through and rip it open. Oh, who wants me? If someone wanted to get hold of you, you wrote a letter, you got it 3 or 4 days later, or they made a phone call. I know the landscape's changed, but we're sucked into this. We're addicted to being updated and constantly. I know that some of your businesses may be based around email, and to a certain extent mine is, but you can batch it and do it on your time. Allow yourself an hour, maybe twice a day, or even once a day. You might not need that much to go through all of them, answer them, respond, and leave it alone. Easier said than done. Again, that's a work in progress for me. And then number 4 here, don't carry a smartphone 24/7. Have 1 day off per week. There's a coach that I've worked with, a guy called Paul Mort, that does this every Wednesday. He has a day where he turns his phone off entirely. He literally doesn't turn his phone on, turns it off Tuesday night, goes to bed, and turns it on again Thursday morning. Quite tough to do. And he also goes on holiday with the family, leaves the phone and laptop at home. Again, work in progress. I've tried, and I'd be honest, I haven't managed a whole day. I've tried a few hours, and it felt like someone had taken my right arm off. So I'm always working towards these myself. But yeah, really good technique. Again, going back 15, 20 years ago, we just didn't have these phones. And it's almost, I guess, the youngsters, the millennials in the 20s, early 30s might be thinking, how did people survive without the phone? But I didn't have my first phone till I was in my 20s. And everyone survived perfectly well before that. So we can definitely do a day. And people say, well, what do I do if I haven't got my phone? Well, read a book, have a conversation, do something with the family, do something with the kids. There's a million things to do that can be far more productive than stuck in our phones, looking at other people's crap, scrolling, responding. Maybe do this on a weekend. Probably a good time to try that. So that's the not to do list. And what you want to do is focus on 1 or 2 things at a time to become a habit, routine. So I'm not saying that you write out your not to do list and literally adhere to all of them. Maybe pick 1 or 2 of those. Or of course, that's my list. There's some of the things I'm working towards. That doesn't mean you guys are going to do that. So write your own list. The things that you want to avoid, and then work towards them. Like anything, habits is all about reps. Anything in life about reps. Repetition is the mother of all skill. Pick a couple, work on them, make sure they're solidified, they're part of your routine, they become part of your habits, they become second nature. And like anything, it gets easier. It gets easier every single time. So we're going to look at, how to own the morning and own the day. And we're going to look at some of the things you could do in the morning. and some of the things that you could do in the evening as well. So we're kind of like talking about bookending the day and how to have a productive day. As I mentioned there, a good day all starts with the night before. So it's not a case of getting up in the morning, so I'm going to have a good day. To have a good day, I have to have a good night. If your sleep the night before has been wrecked for whatever reason, or I meet so many clients that are just bad sleepers. And it's very, very hard to have an optimal day if you haven't started the day very well. And that starts the night before. So evening routine. This is just some of the things that I try to adhere to and that you could look at, and maybe they'll resonate with you. And these kind of link back into the not to do list. You'll see some of them that kind of coincide with that. But number one, dim the lights at 9 p.m. So if you're going to bed at 10 or 11, it's a good idea, because just to turn the lights down. If you've got a dimmer switch, or you can just put a lamp on as opposed to having glaring artificial light, because when your brain realizes it's getting dark, it will signal to the brain, start releasing melatonin, which will make you sleepy, which is why when it gets dark, we just get sleepy. It's just how our circadian rhythm, how our body clock works. So if you can dim the lights, just put a small lamp on, you're going to start to get your body into that relaxed mode, which is exactly what you want come bedtime. Number two, switch off the phone, the laptop. I mentioned that in the not to do list. Some of the things that you could do, you could read. Reading before you go to bed is an excellent way to get sleepy. I know that if I get into bed and read a book, I last about 4 or 5 pages, and often I'll fall asleep, the book's dropped into my head, I wake up. But it's just one of the best ways to get to sleep, just reading. Very hard to concentrate. Me personally, I have one different. I know some people like to meditate. I don't meditate in the evening. I do at different times of the day. That's another talk for another time. But I know a lot of people like to meditate. It helps them relax before they go to bed. And some people like to listen to a podcast. Again, if you can do that without putting your phone on, let me know how. Of course, you could listen with it in airplane mode, so you're not looking at other things. Number 4, sleep ritual. Maybe you need some sort of boost. And we mentioned melatonin then. You can actually take melatonin supplement. Weirdly, it's actually illegal in the UK. It's not bad for you. It certainly isn't. But there's a small loophole that we've just got. It's illegal in the UK, and it's legal in the US and Europe. So it's just something in our laws. Our government have said that melatonin is not available, but you can get it on the internet and get it shipped here. It's not a problem. Just 2 or 3 milligram, which is usually the strength of a tablet, sort of 35, 40 minutes before bedtime. You start to feel a little bit sleepy. But it is a hormone. Melatonin is a hormone, so it's to be used sparingly. It's actually one of the best hormones to take for jet lag. So I've got melatonin, but I won't take it on a daily basis. I'll do it if I'm particularly, maybe I had a bad night's sleep the night before and I want to catch up, but more so if I'm traveling long haul. Obviously, COVID 2020 has not been a problem. No one's been doing any international flights, or not many at least, but it's one of the best things to alleviate jet lag when you get to the other end, and also when you come back to home. Melatonin is a great supplement. I can give you more info on that if you want to know. And THC, which is the active psychoactive ingredient of marijuana. Now, I'm not advocating that you go and take drugs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this could be a solution if your sleep patterns aren't very good. You've heard of CBD, which is one of the parts of marijuana. THC is the more active part. This is the stuff that will actually get you high. And I've got some THC here, and I have a tiny, tiny drop sometimes before I go to bed. Just helps me relax my muscles, helps soothe my hip and back. I've got a hip and back issue at the moment, and I sleep really, really well on it. If I had too much of that, it would actually make me high. It would be like smoking a joint. So I'm not doing it to get high. I'm not interested in getting high. I'm doing it for the medicinal benefits. And it's way better to take THC or something like that, which is medicinal. It's actually a plant, a herb, with no long-term side effects. Of course, the devil's in the dose. If I took a lot of that, I'd be high, I'd be tripping balls off, but that's not my aim. Way better than taking an over counter or prescribed sleeping tablet, which obviously is the body is not designed to take and can be very, very addictive. So the devil's in the dose. So it's just a couple of ideas that you might want to look at. The big one is going to bed at the same time every night, 10 p.m. And also when I talk about the morning routine, talk about getting up at the same time. It doesn't have to be 10 p.m. My bedtime is 10 p.m. Yours could be 11, could be 12, but whatever it is, try and do it at the same time every night and try and get up at the same time, because it's one of the best things for the body. The body loves routine and it will set your circadian rhythms. That's just the rhythm that our body is designed to. And if you take it back, say before electricity, I don't know when electricity was invented, must have been a couple hundred years ago, 250 years ago, maybe, when we just had candlelight, most people would be in bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock on a winter, and they'd be up with sunrise. So our body clock has changed really, and we're staying up. If I think we're the only creature on Earth, if you want to call us a creature, I know we're a mammal, the only animal or mammal on Earth that will actually buck the natural circadian rhythm, as in go to bed when sun sets and up with sunrise. I know you get some nocturnal animals, but you know what I'm talking about. Because we've invented artificial light, we've decided, no, okay, the sun's gone down at 8 p.m. I'm going to stay up till 11. We're the only people that do that. So I'm not sure we are the most intelligent creatures on the planet, but there you go. And this chili pad sleep system. Now, scientists say that the best temperature for optimal sleep is around 18 or 19 degrees. That's quite chilly. Most people won't sleep at that, but it's been shown if you can reduce your body temperature before you go to bed, you're going to get a much better sleep. Again, this is only an issue if you're sleeping badly. So some of these ideas could be really good if you're a poor sleeper. But if you want to go on Amazon, I've got no affiliation with these guys. There's a thing called the Chili Pad Sleep System. It's quite expensive. It's about 400 and I think it's close to 500 quid. But what it is a cooling system where it's a small blanket that goes under the bed sheet, and it allows cold water to go in there, so it reduces the temperature of your side of the bed. And it's done for a single person, so you could actually be in bed with your husband, wife, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, and it will just cool down your side of the bed. It's a very, very good device for lowering the temperature. Alternatively, if you don't want to spend that type of money, you can have a cold shower or a cool shower before you go to bed. It's very good to reduce your internal temperature before you go to bed. Or you can sleep with the window open. I guess that would be the cheapest version and the least, time efficient, or the best time efficient version of that. There's just a few ideas on the evening routine. Flipping that, as I said, a good day starts with a good night. You've got your good sleep, morning routine. I mentioned before, waking up at the same time every day, 5 a.m. For you, it could be 6 a.m., could be 7 a.m., but you choose. First thing everyone should do is rehydrate, and that means water first before your coffee, before your tea, vodka. I'm not sure what you're into. Probably not vodka at that time in the morning, but cater for everyone. But a big glass of water, chilled water, great thing to do. Then have your coffee and your tea, have your beverage, whatever your preferred beverage is. And then a little bit of exercise could be good. Maybe you want to meditate. I personally don't meditate in the morning because it just makes me very sleepy. And I actually fall asleep again. My current routines, I'm going for a 30-minute walk. Coming back, I'm writing in my journal, 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll read 10 pages of a book. And it kind of takes me about an hour and 15 minutes to get that done. I said everyone else in my house wakes up at 7. Wife, kids, 7 a.m. So I've got 2 hours to kind of get my stuff done before they are up. That's just me personally. And I say, look, 3 out of 5 is a win. So I don't do all of this every single day. Like, I'll be honest, I said I don't meditate in the morning. Sometimes I'll go for the walk. Most days I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes occasionally I miss the journaling, or I occasionally miss the reading, depending on what I get into. But I say if you can get 3 out of the 5 done, I consider that a win. The one that is non-negotiable is waking up at the same time every day and having water before I have my coffee, and usually getting some type of exercise done or a brisk walk outside. That's kind of my main 3. And if I can journal on top of that and then read 10 pages of a good book as an additional, if I get all 5 done, even better. But 3 out of 10 is a great start. So look, what are the action steps? I've covered a lot of information there. We looked at the not to-do list and the morning routine and the evening routine. But with everything, it's always about starting small. If you try and take on all of that at once, it's a rare person that would actually get it all done. So I would say start small. And the first things that I would look at would be to wake up and go to bed at the same time. If you're not already doing that, that would be the first thing you could all do. That would be my first start. Then I would look at a couple of things on the not to do list. You can all write your not to do list. And then start chipping off on that, add a few more in, and as and when is required. So guys, hope you enjoyed that short and sharp module today. But put those action steps into place, start small, and let me know how you get on. I will see you on your next coaching call or in the next module. Thank you.